What's up, everybody? Welcome once again to our breakdown of 1,000+ chapters of One Piece. If you've made it this far, God bless you. and we hope you have been enjoying yourselves. As always, I am Sean, Bearded Capitalitin.
And I am Jerry Robotingu Smith. And as per our course for these specials, we have our good friend Mike Del Vecchio. Say hi, Mike.
How's it going, guys?
And thank you for sticking, not only the fans, but you, Mike, joining us every time for this.
Like Jerry always says, you've trapped us in this cabin, for days on end. So
look, I was hoping they would have forgotten. I was hoping they forgot about the hostage situation that's been going on. All right, fellas, this is maybe the final. We'll see. I think we said that last time too, but we got a whole lot going on here, and we wrapped up
a lot of cake.
A whole lot of cake, which we'll get to after the petting zoo, because we had an entire episode that was literally one arc. Dressrosa. Right. So this time we're starting off with Zoe. So
it's all good. I've got a tall glass of water for Zoe, and then I made a rum and root beer for Whole Cake Island. So
with the root beer in it, that's very fitting for Whole Cake Island. I approve.
Yeah. It's been interesting. I actually only had notes for the My Hero Academia arc of the camp, but I forgot we were doing One Piece, so I'm going to do my best here.
Oh, dude, Midoriya is my favorite pirate in the entire franchise.
So anyway, where we left off, Dressrosa, we had just once we concluded that arc, the Straw Hat Pirates gained a huge power in the world now. They have a fleet with all of the gladiators and everything that they saved from the arena. So something that they kind of flashed to every now and then, that we'd get a little snippet of, because it was literally one of those things, right, where, we were reading so much into this arc, and it's like, holy shit, I haven't seen fucking Sanji, Nami, Chopper, or Brook in like 100 chapters or something like that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I like it, yeah.
Yeah, it was like their voice actors must have had like a great vacation whenever that happened. So we finally get like tidbits of them every now and then, and we see that they're on this like strange island, running from people. We find out that they had made it to this island called Zoe, and we kind of get it in a flashback, right? Because we see like one little action scene of them and some weird shit happening on this moving island.
Right.
But when it takes place, we've got the rest of the crew that's getting to this island, and you find out that it's on the back of a giant elephant.
Which,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like the situation of a giant elephant that can walk across the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still technically an island?
I mean, it is One Piece, so I guess technically
we'll allow it. Look, we've long accepted that we're just a universe on a turtle's back, right? So I mean,
very true.
We are Discworld.
Discworld.
So this giant elephant called Zunatia, it is essentially like, the protector of a race that we've encountered before, but has never been called out by name, and that's the Mink tribe.
Right.
So the great thing about them getting to the top of this thing, because it has like freaking ridiculously long legs. I mean, it's standing in the ocean, so they have to get up to the top of it, right?
Yeah, gams for days.
Right. So one of our new samurai that we picked up in Dressrosa, Kanjuro, right? Yeah, he has the ability to paint things into life. So what he ends up doing is drawing this long dragon. I can't remember what they're actually called in like Chinese mythology.
I mean, like Shenlong, to get an idea of like from Dragon Ball Z, which I think
Right.
is a play on what they're normally called, is something similar to that,
Yeah.
if not just that.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and I mean, like, it's great. Like Sean mentioned before, it's just this like, I mean, you might not even remember, but we were talking about one of his creations later, and how even Robin is like, oh, that's too
Yeah.
cute.
I jumped the gun on it because it was just one of my
Yeah,
favorite,
yeah,
like arguably one of my favorite Robin moments alone. But
yeah,
like, yeah, how we talked about how he draws, and not draws very well, but they
right.
still come to life, and
Hmm.
everyone in the crew is just like, ugh, like, oh my god, man, that's a horrible drawing, but thank you. And Robin's like, it's so cute.
Yeah, it's essentially this like humongous like dragon, like think of like a basically a falcor, but it has like a pig face and little tiny like feet or whatever.
You brought up
um
Falcor, yes,
yeah,
Love
I did.
Dragon.
Yep. So of course the Straw Hats have to name it. They call him Ryunosuke, and it's like this fucking thing is like so pathetic and struggling to get to the top of this elephant, and it's just the most adorable thing ever. And it's kind of one of these things, we don't know what to expect from this island at this point. We just know that there's island up there. They of course can't get the ship up because it's so tall. They basically get up there and are immediately attacked. And they kind of get this whole sense of if they find out about the samurai, then they're going to be in a lot of trouble or something like that, or it can cause some issues. Well, come to find out, they were actually recently attacked by some of we also mentioned Kaido for the first time ever. Like he finally made an appearance in the New World, for us anyway. Well, apparently his right hand man and his right hand man's crew came to attack this giant elephant, and they were looking for a samurai. And this is actually with Jack, who is one of Kaido's big generals. You talk about these emperors that have absolute like huge fleets and stuff, so they all have like pirate captains in their own ship and everything, and this is one of Kaido's like top dogs.
Right.
And he's also the first person that we've seen in the whole series that has a bounty of 1 billion, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
that's right. That's
Mhm.
right.
So whenever the Straw Hats get to this island, it's pretty wrecked, and like they immediately start getting attacked by one of the one of the Mink tribe, and they find out that these minks had been fighting off Jack and his crew and everything, and trying to hide this samurai. And the way that they did this was kind of interesting, because the whole place is split up into two different mink tribes. You've got one that guards it during the day, and one that guards it during the night. And they just so happen to be a dog and a cat. I'll let you guess which is which guards which.
It is so perfect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm going blank on their names, but like they were great.
What was it
So
Dogstorm and Cat Viper?
Neko Mamushi,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which when I saw someone had like their looks of like a big yellow dog, because they're large characters too, like so it's like a big yellow dog
yeah.
and a fat orange cat, and you just couldn't help but make the Garfield and Odie comparison to them, and it was brilliant.
Yeah, and it was kind of an interesting thing too, because we also had like I think one of the first ones we saw was Carrot,
Yes.
and she actually damaged Luffy, so we know that these anytime somebody can actually get like a damaging blow on Luffy, we know that there's like some strength there for sure.
No,
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
There's something special about him.
Yeah, Carrot quickly became one of my new favorite characters too.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of like really great characters that pop up in this arc. So yes, they were essentially guarding Zoe, and saying that they didn't have the samurai and everything, and eventually they fended him off until Jack's crew had to go and supposedly go save Doflamingo because his shit was all in trouble, and
Right.
he got arrested by the world government. So they were able to hold him off. Well, soon after that, the Straw Hat crew came in as Sanji, Nami, and Chopper. Sanji, Nami, Chopper, and Brook. Sorry, yeah.
Right.
Well, we actually don't hear anything about that until we actually see them. So we get our crew reunited, and we get these minks, and then we get to meet the. We find out basically that this whole time we were thinking that the crew was going to be in trouble if they revealed that they had the samurai with them, and come to find out that they were actually keeping the samurai safe, and that was the third one that we had was Raizo. Oh, and I honestly completely forgot because he's not like super intricate in the stuff that we've been talking about, but Momonosuke was also with them, the little kid that was we saw with Kinemon when he first So we get basically introduced to all these mink men, and you actually find out that they're all like animal based people. It's a whole civilization of people that are animal based. So it kind of gave us like some idea, because we've seen all these animal people throughout the story, and we were just kind of like just led to believe like, okay, these exist, I guess. We're not going to go further into this.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, as wacky and wild as One Piece is, like animal people, not that surprising. I mean,
Right.
I don't think we've brought him up this entire time yet, but there is the reoccurring character of Panda Man that has
Right.
appeared
we haven't.
Yeah.
all throughout the franchise in various forms, including
He's literally hidden in every chapter.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is just a man with a panda head, kind of a luchador look to me. And
Yeah.
like hell, even in the recent Stampede movie, we saw him as both pirate and marine. He is a busy person, but like just an example of how weird and wacky One Piece is. So yeah, like animal people, why the fuck not?
Yeah. So of course, Beppo, the character that we mentioned from the Heart Pirates crew, is from here. And this was actually, we were talking about, this was where the Heart Pirates crew was, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
They were meeting him here.
So, right. And so we kind of get this this resurgence, and I know Sean was really happy to see Beppo once again.
Yeah.
And we got to reunite with them. Well, the remaining Straw Hats were on this island except for Sanji. And it turns out, and another character I forgot to mention. Sorry, I started drinking the rum drink already. So just bear with me. Caesar was actually with the Straw Hats as well.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and they basically, they had him as leverage against Doflamingo, but whenever things were going sideways on them in Dressrosa, they, told the rest of the crew that was on the Sunny to go ahead and take him and get out of here. So he is still with them, but there's no Sanji. And pretty much what we find out is two of the characters that we saw before from Fishman Island, Peckham's and I'm forgetting his name.
Tamago?
Yeah, Tamago, the egg guy. They actually came to this island to take both Sanji and Caesar away, and basically I think they were going to take the whole like Straw Hat crew, but they were fighting against them. Tamago actually ended up turning against Peckham's, because he was, kind of more trying to fend for his people, because you find out that he's actually from Zoe as well. And what ended up happening is Tamago just got Sanji, and because you found out that he had some kind of leverage against him, so he ended up having going with him. But it's kind of cool because Zoe sort of turns into this, since we've literally been running this whole time with Sabati, Fishman Island, Punk Hazard, Dressrosa. Like, it's this huge pinnacle that we were building up to. It's kind of nice to have this little arc where we just sort of discover a little bit more about the world and see characters that we haven't seen in a while, and kind of set things up for the next big arc. Because what they're going into at this point is the Yonko. So it's like this this really big thing that we've had for a long time, that's sort of been shadowy in the background. And another thing that we find on this island is our first road poneglyph. I think I actually kind of jumped the gun back when we were talking about Fishman Island, but I recanted and took it back because I remembered that wasn't where it was. Right. So we find out that there are these things called road poneglyphs, and they are actually the special poneglyphs that have the directions to get to the final island, to get to Raftel for the One Piece, where Roger stored it and everything. And it's that was a really big moment for them. I think, was it at that point that we find out that the other emperors have the other ones as well?
I think so, because I think they had said that Big Mom had 2 and Kaido has 1. I think, because then there are only 4 of them. Whereas like the poneglyphs themselves are already rare. They're scattered throughout the entire world, but then only 4 of them are the special ones that lead you directly to Raftel.
Right. And I was actually wrong. It wasn't Tamago that was with him. It was Capone Beige.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. This is when Oda starts, showing us that he can use the other supernovas besides Law.
Right.
Because up to this point, Law is really the only one that we really keep seeing. And then so like now we're starting to use Capone. We'll see more guys later on, but like he's actually showing that they're not just one-off characters.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yes, it was actually Beige that ended up gunning down Peckham's and just grabbing Sanji and taking him with him. He did take Sanji, and he took Caesar. I forgot that he grabbed Caesar, because Big Mom had apparently a big thing about Caesar, that she was wanting to capture him. I think it was mostly due to his involvement with helping Kaido and Doflamingo. During that time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone wants Caesar because he was the one who was making the smiles for Kaido. So like people want him to like disrupt that, or they want him because to continue doing all that. So he ends up being a pretty important pawn that they keep pushing around.
Right.
Yeah. So it just kind of turns into this interesting thing of them making plans on what each person's going to do, and the Minks are basically like with them, and some of them have to go to Wano to help Kinemon and his people, because we find out that the Minks have ties to the samurai as well, and then we get don't we get some that end up saying that they're going to go to the revolutionaries, or am I mistaken?
I think like they split up into the Straw Hats split up into 2. One going to Whole Cake after Big Mom. The other one's going because the ultimate goal is to meet at Wano, because Wano is the climax, or the final battles area for all the samurai people. And so some of them were going to go there ahead of time to kind of start infiltrating. Luffy and part of the crew are going to go to Whole Cake, and then there's a third, I think, that with Cat Viper, they're going to go find Whitebeard's crew. So Marco and all the guys who survived after that.
Right. Yeah. So that's how it goes down. So yeah, you essentially have what I think it's Luffy, Sanji, Brook, and then it was one of the minks that ended up going with him. Oh man, I'm
he's a tiger, isn't he, or a leopard?
Pedro. Yeah,
Pedro.
Yeah, the kind of musketeer looking
Yeah,
guy.
I was confusing him with Shishilian, who's the lion, I think.
Oh,
right. Oh yeah. Yeah. So like how they have this day and night thing going. Each of them have their leader and then their most trusted warriors and everything. And for Neko Mamushi, his is this tiger person named Pedro, and Pedro decides that he's going to go with the Straw Hats to help them get their Sanji back. And as they're on their way to go, they find out that they have a stowaway, and it's Carrot. is their big stowaway?
Yep.
Which Sean's favorite.
The main character, I don't know, like the peppy attitude and the fact that like even this early on, and we'll get to later, like you said, she damaged Luffy.
Mm-hmm.
I like there's something up with this rabbit. I'm digging it. I'm all about
it. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it was just kind of interesting, right? And I've heard this kind of talked about a lot, is like having your own. I mean, especially whenever you're introducing so many characters, like for these like later arcs,
right?
It's kind of nice to split them up and split them up with characters and stuff like that, because like you had a big portion of the crew that went ahead and went to Wano with the remaining Heart Pirates, and well, actually, I think they went with all of the Heart Pirates, right? And then you had the rest of the Straw Hats that went with Luffy to go to Whole Cake Island to rescue Sanji, because we can't be leaving any crewmates behind.
Oh no. Can't abandon.
Yeah.
No,
even the perverted chef.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can't leave your chef behind. That's just like
he's the third in the monster trio. You can't leave him out.
Whatever. Yeah. Usopp totally could have replaced him.
Okay, so
I also like that Carrot. Her personality fits right in with Chopper and Usopp and Nami. Like she kind of fits into that grouping too, really easily.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's what I thought. Right. That's also what I liked about it, was like once they got all the like kind of introductions aside, she just clicked with the crew right away, and I wasn't one of those she's joining them, but I was like, you know what, I'm digging this character already. So.
Right. She's a bit of a ditz, but she's pretty great.
Yeah.
So anyway, for our Whole Cake Island arc, I finally got a list here, so this is great. We have Brook, Nami, Chopper, Carrot, Pedro, and Luffy that are going to save Sanji. And it turns into this really like clusterfuck, but it's pretty cool because we also get to see the extreme like and absolute might of another emperor. Like we haven't seen this since Whitebeard's crew. We got a taste of it with Jack from Kaido's crew on the Zoe flashback, but like in this arc we get they're like basically invading this other person's territory, and it's just kind of this like wacky ocean and adventure, and like they totally like mix so many different things in it with like Disney and stuff like that, and it's like kind of like really unique how there's just like all of these inanimate objects that have like faces and stuff, and you really think that it's going to turn into another like Dressrosa with like moving toys and everything like that.
Yeah, because the whole introduction of we've seen Big Mom before, like like in like silhouette or like like a close up. But the first time we actually see her, they do it really well in the anime. But it's like a sing along from a Disney movie. Like it's like she's walking the field and or if you remember at the end of Who Framed Roger Rabbit when they're all singing at the end with all the buildings and all that. Like it's just like that.
Yeah, yeah. You got like the smiley face on the sun and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
it's one of those like yeah, it's a definite like a twisted fairy tale like what it ends up like the whole especially with the name whole cake because you're gonna see like a lot of food related stuff, design and decor and stuff in it as well.
mhm. Yeah, and it's just like you get that, but then you also are like blown away by this Sanji backstory. This is a character that's been in since I don't know, like what issue 30 or something like that, like
Yeah,
chapter
super
somewhere
early
around
on.
there.
Yeah,
And
super
like you
early.
thought that you had his whole backstory, but then like of course, as One Piece is prone to do, it goes deeper, and you find out that there's even more like to his character, and that Sanji is actually from North Blue, and he's actually from this family called the Vinsmoke family, who are very popular for like their uh, was it like cloning or something like that? Like
Yeah,
they
yeah. It's kind of like oh, where they're trying to create like the perfect human beings almost. So that it's all like genetic testing and all that. So like then they're basically all like test tube babies.
Right.
right. So the big thing that we get to find out, and the most important thing to take away from this, is Oda's finally put Super Sentai into one, and that's all that really matters from this arc, right?
Of course, yeah.
You're laughing, but
Yeah, yeah.
no, this is again another super world building arc. But like
Hmm, hmm.
me personally, like one of the biggest takeaways was the revelation of the Vinsmokes, Sanji's history, and
Hmm.
yes, that they all have color coordinated special outfits
Yeah.
With numbers
So
on them.
with
yeah,
numbers.
right.
And
And
that it wasn't just Sanji whose name was a pun for Gassan in Japanese is
mhm,
three. They
Right.
all have a number pun in their name.
yep. So you have the father, which is Vinsmoke Judge, and then you have Vinsmoke Ichiji, you have Vinsmoke Niji, you have Vinsmoke Yanji, and then you have Vinsmoke Reiju. And they, before they even like really popped up, like we saw any color versions of them.
Right.
I already had a feeling like, oh shit, they're gonna be color based too, aren't they? And sure enough, all of their hairs are different colors. So like Sanji's blonde, and then like you've got one that's pink, one that's red, one that's blue, and one that's green. And they actually have these things called raid suits. It's one of the things I think that they're one of, because it's supposed to be like a kingdom that produces weapons and stuff like
Right.
that. So they
Yeah.
produce weapons and soldiers and stuff. And one of the things that they have is this type of suit that you know keep in a capsule, and then you just like henshin basically, and it goes on you, and like turns into like this hardened armor kind of thing. But so you also find out like with Sanji's backstory that he was the defect in the children. They were supposed to be like the strongest clones essentially, and he just didn't cut it. So they actually locked him up, and they still technically had a mother and everything, and he was always trying to be there for his mother, but it was kind of almost like, if you want to it was like an opposite almost of the Endeavor's family, if you want
Right.
to like really
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like look into it that way. um
Well, yeah, because
where
I'll say also we before we even going even back before we actually see them, they're introduced as like the villains in a manga in One
Mhm.
Piece. Like,
Yeah.
like they're basically the equivalent of Shocker from Kamen Rider. They're like the
Mhm.
evil like Nazi Germany allegory, in that. So like
Right.
that's why they're so big on the genetic testing and all that, and that they're big on like military and all that.
Right. Yeah, and which kind of makes sense with Sanji being the good guy, right? Because usually they have like a person that's supposed to be turning into a bad guy and ends up
Right. Yeah.
becoming the good guy.
Yep.
So the whole reason, the whole thing with them popping up and Sanji going out here has to do with them forming an alliance with Charlotte Linlin, with Big Mom and her crew. And essentially what they're going to do is they're going to, because that's how Big Mom really gains a lot of power, is she has a lot of children and she marries them off to other pirate crews and cities and countries and stuff like that, and pretty much absorbs their might.
Right. She wants to have she wants a kid from every race in the entire world.
Right.
Right.
The only ones she doesn't have, I know for sure, are giants. And I forget what the other one was, but it might have been the Vince Smoke family. But yeah, that's her thing, is that she is everyone's mom technically.
Right. Yeah, and if you'll if you think back to Thriller Bark, and there was a lot of speculation on that, kind of like back in the day and a little bit after it, as like the arcs kind of carried on, and we found out that there was an emperor named Big Mom. But there was actually a pirate captain that was stuck on Thriller Bark, that was one of Big Mom's daughters that left the whole island and everything. And I'm trying to remember her name.
Lola.
Right.
She was the big zombie pig thing.
Yes. So she was actually a really big part of that arc. And then, we kind of find out, I'm pretty sure, like, with Nami and everything, like, she even told Nami that her mom was, like, a big deal, like, in the New World and stuff like that. So, that kind of got gears turning, 500 chapters ago, or 300, 400 chapters, something like that.
Again, Oda just loving planting those seeds of, like, what's going to play out later.
Right. So we have this daughter that Sanji's supposed to be getting married to, and you might be asking yourself, "Oh, why would Sanji agree to this?" And it actually turns out that the Vinsmoke family had found out, about his life on the Barati and Zeph that took him in and everything, and they were basically threatening Zeph's life if Sanji didn't go through with this.
Right.
All right. Do you remember why they finally found him after all this time?
Was it because of Sanji's fame, or
it was the fact that his newest Wanderer poster after all this actually has his face.
Right.
The whole running joke that they can never get a picture of him. So the first one it's black because the camera guy didn't take the lens off, and then the second one was the drawing. This one they finally have a picture of him, and that's how his father knows that he's still alive and out there.
Right. So
and also his newest Wanted poster says it's not wanted dead or alive. I think it just says wanted. Wanted alive or something like that.
Right.
There was a lot of speculation about that too. I remember that now. Yeah. So we have this big event that's supposed to be happening with this wedding, and of course, one of Big Mom's things that we find out, which actually, we kind of knew from Fishman Island with the snacks and everything, and the desserts that exploded, that they had to trade all the treasure for, that she loves, like, food and snacks and sweets and stuff like that. So of course, like, they're making a big deal of this and, like, getting their bakers, like, baking, and we have all of these wild, like, just completely nutso, like, living treats and stuff like that. We get this point where the crew actually run into this girl who tries to give them directions through a forest, and it turns out to be just this really shitty, dangerous place. I think was it Chopper and Nami end up getting captured by Charlotte Brule, which also all, like, pretty much the entire crew you could guess is named off of different foods and stuff like that.
All her
baking and food.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. There is a humongous crew, which, again, this is an emperor, so you can expect that. So Charlotte Brule ends up having this ability to where she has, like, a mirror power, and she can trap people into mirrors. And so she ends up trapping, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Chopper and Nami in the mirrors.
And Carrot too, I think, right?
Yeah. And then Luffy is left to fight Charlotte Cracker, which is interesting because whenever we first run into him, he's just this like huge imposing dude with like 6 arms and all these swords and shit. And he's got like this cracker armor on and everything.
Right.
And Luffy smashes him up real good and finds out that he's like just this like jerk looking like buff dude with like weird funky hair. But they essentially like just get into it, and you know, of course, Luffy, as he do, ends up beating the tar out of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Luffy ends up finding Sanji, but it's kind of like whenever they met back up with Robin, and she was pretty much like shunning them and telling them she doesn't want anything to do with them. You could obviously tell that there's more going on with Sanji here, because I think at this point we didn't know about the Vinsmokes basically blackmailing him and threatening to murder Zeph. So he essentially kicks Luffy away and gets to this point, where he's like quitting the crew and stuff. So along with like the whole that part of the Water 7 arc, we also get this other sort of emotional battle, like we not like on par with the Usopp Luffy fight, but it's still like Luffy like not understanding what's going on, and Sanji trying to just save his crew and everything because he doesn't want them to be destroyed by the Big Man Pirates or the Vinsmoke family and everything. It's kind of this thing of like, everyone fears the world government until like you see Luffy punch one of them in the face, and then you realize, oh, they're not really shit. They're just human beings or whatever.
Right.
So it's always kind of been this dark cloud looming over Sanji's head. We get to this point where Sanji finally gets to meet Charlotte Pudding, who is his wife to be, but she was also the person that gave them the Straw Hats directions. So we're trying to like figure out, is there more to her than this? Like, what's going on here? And
I don't think we said that the whole point of this the whole reason why they took Sanji back was to get into the Big Mom Pirates.
Right.
The Vinsmokes are going to offer up their reject basically as like an arranged marriage with one of her daughters, and then it's basically like a symbiotic relationship kind of thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So like all this is leading up to a wedding for Sanji and Pudding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Sanji finally gets to meet her, realizes that she's like a babe or whatever. So he's like feeling a little bit better about it, and then like. He basically, so he's feeling a little bit better about it. But then you find out that Charlotte Pudding has this like dark side, which we'll see back and forth a lot in this arc, which was kind of interesting.
Very like kind of schizophrenic in a sense. Like because like she would be like, because like. I know they kind of didn't reveal it right away, but she has a third eye.
Yeah,
and if I remember right, right, from that show nobody watches. But I believe if I remember right, like that is kind of her trigger. Like when people see it, it kind of brings out the evil in her. She's very ashamed of it or like embarrassed by it or something. And Sanji's like, "You're still hot. It's all good." That's not bothering.
Well, I wasn't a huge fan of Pudding's character the whole time, but I like why she is in the story is because we've established hundreds of chapters ago that Robin can read the poneglyphs. Like it's a lost art of being able to read these things, and Big Mom has her because I guess something about her race or whatever, the third eye race, whatever, can read them at some point. So like she's grooming her to be able to read the road poneglyphs that she has in her possession, so she can finally get the Raftel.
Right.
Yeah. We so we also get to this point where another person shows up here, and it ends up being Jinbei. And we all remember
Yes.
Jinbei.
Yes.
He
Hell
decided
yeah.
that he was going to join Luffy's crew, but there was something he needed to do first. It finds out that thing that he needed to do was basically quit Big Mam's crew, because he
Yep.
ended up having to join her to be basically her avatar in Fishman Island.
Right.
And he had decided, he had found somebody that he respected in Luffy, and decided that he was going to quit Big Mom's crew. So he basically took his, I guess, a lot of the former like Sun pirates, and came to this island to basically like ask for, forgiveness, and he would take whatever punishment. He just wanted to join the crew, join Luffy's crew and stuff. And I think this was before he even knew that the Straw Hats were there.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And
I think he
yeah.
was like, I don't think, I think when they do run into each other, he was like shocked, like, what the hell are you doing here? Like, this is, like,
Right.
I think he even like, maybe they meant, I'm a little vague on it, but like, I think they mentioned it. He was like, no, you don't want to, you guys are not ready for an emperor. But,
Mhm.
Luffy's so good at listening, so I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it just kind of like, it was really, really an interesting kind of thing having him there as well, and just having that other presence. Meanwhile, you have Pedro that's sneaking around as well, and he has already done this, right? Doesn't Pedro just have one arm?
yeah.
And I think he lost it because he actually left Big Mam's crew. So we kind of have this sense of what's at stake whenever you leave, and you have to essentially spin this wheel. Did see, now this is where I start to go a bit fuzzy. Did he ever spin the wheel
I
for her?
think
I
he
can't
did.
remember.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure that's how he ended up losing. Because you basically have to give either life or
right.
body part from that.
Yeah, so I think what ends up happening is we find out that she kind of has this power over like souls and stuff like that, and she I think he rolls like a life thing, um, and it would have essentially like make him lose all of his life, like he would die with the amount of life that she was going to take from him, because it would
Right.
it was part of his lifespan that she was going to take.
Yeah, because we find out that Big Mom's devil fruit is that she controls souls, kind of like Gecko Moria, but with shadows. But like she can take souls out and put them into other things. So that's why literally everything is alive on her island, is because she's put either her part of her soul or someone else's soul into these things.
Yeah, because like
Yeah,
the people of her island, isn't it like an annual like a tax thing? Like she has to take like a little bit of their lifespans constantly. That's like one of her demands for the island she controls.
Yeah.
right. And we actually find out backstory from her that she had like an insatiable hunger and everything, and she was essentially just dumped on this island where this orphanage was, and um, she made friends and stuff like this, and they they I think it was this whole thing of like them introducing her to some kind of treat, and it really got her like really craving it,
Yeah,
and it put her in some kind of a frenzy. And so she went into this frenzy, blacked out, and then whenever she came to, nobody was there. So the gist that you're getting of it is that she essentially like ate all of them in her like anger and fury.
Yep.
So we get this kind of thing of like, oh my god, this woman is like, a monster. Like
right. Like I mean,
we
I was gonna say
yeah.
like again though, we know Big Mom is like a major foil She's shown evil, manipulative, power monger, and yet she gets the tragic backstory. And it's like, fuck's sake, Oda, don't make me care about this evil woman.
I know. Well, and the coolest thing about her backstory is that it's the island that she's originally on is Elbaf, the land of giants, which we've only been hearing about since Dory and Bragi back in, on Little Garden, and we've never seen, and we also find out that's why she doesn't have a good relationship with the giant races, because she caused a huge ruckus when she was on an island at the age of 12. Right, or 5-year-old. I'm sorry.
Right.
She's like 17 feet tall, but she's 5 years old.
Right.
Yeah, it's a whole scary thing, and it's completely terrifying. So I'm gonna kind of jump around a little bit because my recollection of so many of the events that happened in this are like scattered. We find out that the reason Capone Beige is here is he's also married to one of the Charlotte daughters. I think her name is Chiffon.
And they have a baby called Pez.
Yeah. And she is actually the identical twin to Lola. So that was kind of a neat little thing. And I think her and Nami, of course, kicked it off right off the bat. So we find out that that's why, Beige has an allegiance with them. We find out that essentially the Big Mom's family's whole thing with this whole marriage is as soon as they're married, they're going to have Pudding kill Sanji and then take over the Germa 66 and then assassinate the Vinsmoke family. We just get a lot of this plotting, and then you also are introduced to a couple more of the family members of the Big Mom pirates, and the ones to note. So she has the Sweet Commanders, which are her big, top of the line fighters and everything, like her closest children. And we already met Charlotte Cracker, but then we also get introduced to the daughter Charlotte Smoothie, and we get introduced to the scary son that everybody's like, oh god, stay away from that guy, and that's Charlotte Katakuri. Right. And he's really interesting. We'll get to that fight in a second. We end up getting to this point where the Straw Hats form another alliance, and that's with the I'm trying to remember Capone Beige's
the fire tank.
The fire tank pirates. So they make another alliance with someone from the Worst Generation and join with the fire tank pirates. And because so essentially, even Chiffon realizes, hey, my mother is banana balls, and we need to get the hell out of here. So whatever it takes to get out of here. I think originally Beige was planning on assassinating her or something like that. But it just kind of turns into one of those things of it's a freaking emperor. So it's going to be a little difficult to do that. And pretty much what they're going to do is they're going to hatch this whole plan on the wedding day. And you know how Luffy is with plans. He follows them to a T and everything goes swimmingly. Except that they never do. And everything always goes to shit because Luffy is not good at following plans. But also, you have the entirety of the Big Mom's crew and her, just massive presence here. I mean, this is her high sea essentially. So you also get Brook, who is working as sort of a secret agent. He's used his, I don't think we touched on it in Fishman Island, but he's able to use his soul powers to kind of sneak around. He ended up getting etchings of the poneglyphs that were here at Big Mom's. But in doing so, while he was getting those, since she can control souls, she basically captured him. And it was like, oh, cool, a talking skeleton, you're going to be basically my pet type of deal. I think he was like really kind of a hero of this arc,
A little bit,
like in
little
the
bit.
shadows.
Yeah. Low key,
Sure.
low key. Yeah.
Yeah. So we eventually get to where Luffy, while trying to do the plan, gets stuck in this mirror world by Charlotte Brule, who basically puts him in this place with Charlotte Katakuri because Brule is not like a fighter or anything like that. So what's she gonna do with someone who is a fighter? She's gonna put him with another fighter. Eventually, Chopper and Nami gain control over Brule. They capture her and they start using her mirrors to just basically wreak havoc across all of the islands. But this fight with fucking Charlotte Katakuri and Luffy is like amazing.
Yeah.
Like because his devil fruit is so similar to Luffy's because his is the mochi devil fruit, which is it's like a confection for Japan, I think, but it's very rubbery and stretchy, kind of like Luffy's rubber. So it's basically like a mirror fight of the two of them.
Yeah. And it's go ahead, Sean.
I was gonna say it's that one if you ever seen like an anime or kind of Japanese where you see them basically pounding the dough and whatever it's made of that makes it like I mean it's just a super stretchy and it's when it's still being like made. It's known for this.
Right.
They literally have to hammer it in rhythm and keep it moving so it doesn't like literally solidify. So it's a not rubber, but it's a very stretchy like Japanese treat. If you haven't tried mochi, it's not for everyone, but it's still it's worth trying out.
I think it's pretty good. They actually have gotten to the point where you can get it in the most of the freezer sections in the supermarkets and stuff around here.
Nice.
we get it occasionally. It's pretty good.
Yeah. The only advantage that Katakuri has over Luffy is that his ability, like he can kind of dissipate almost kind of thing. He's a paramecia, but he's as close to a Logia as you can get because like he can turn into his body into mochi kind of thing.
Right. So because it is something that could be like say like the treat, you can bite a piece off of it. He can break apart in a sense, but still like maintain his whole body.
Yeah.
The solidity and everything.
Right.
He also has a sweet tooth for sweets.
Yep.
Another thing of note is he is also the second person in the series that has $1 billion bounty, and his is actually higher than Jack's. Amazingly, his is a 1,057,000,000.
Right.
Which is a real impressive ability. Yeah. He was also seen, I think the first time we see him, that just left people guessing what his ability was and everything, is he shot a jelly bean at somebody with such force that it like caused like a hole in the ground.
Right.
So there's a reason why this dude is one of the big commanders in her army. He also wields a spear, which is really interesting.
Yeah, and then and his observation hockey, is like so much that he can see into the future to a point.
Right. Yeah. So like,
so his fight with Luffy, not only is it a mirror, stretchy versus stretchy, but it's also kind of like his fight with Enel, who can see what he's gonna do next.
Yeah, and it really just kind of turns into this all-out brawl with them basically just pelting the crap out of each other or trying to until it's snack time. That was kind of a funny moment in that because you got this dude that's just like, super like hard-boiled and like really mysterious and everything, and you find out that like he has to have a snack time and he really loves his treats, and he also has this like face covering, and you find out that like he just has this like really huge open like mouth, and he'll just shovel like food into it and everything, and it's like basically his like bliss is doing that and like eating ridiculous amounts of food. And of course, Luffy will attack him no matter what. So he's kind of got this thing where he's like trying to eat while also being bombarded by Luffy.
Right. Yeah, which again also just that mirror thing. Luffy loves to eat as well, but he's got his priorities. When it's time to fight, it's time to fucking fight. but
Right.
but yeah, so I thought I loved the kind of like the evil Luffy that Katakuri was, like
Right. Yeah.
with a ridiculously big mouth for some reason. Like, I'm sure it's one of the races Big Mom made sure to have a kid from. It's a Big Mouth tribe or something.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember, like, I guess Luffy ended up escaping for a short time, and then they were fighting again, and Luffy ended up, being the absolute like hoss that he is, and just
right.
having just I guess the just the upper hand as far as, because I'm sure with Katakuri, his fights are usually over pretty quickly, like because he's so powerful. He's not really built for a fight of endurance. So Luffy ends up taking him down.
With a new a new form of Gear Fourth, where he introduces Snake Man, which is like, whereas Bound Man is this huge like huge upper body with the huge forearms and all that. This is slender. He has the armor hockey on just his arms and legs, and he's real thin, and he just shoots out his arms with like such speed, and and they bounce around that he's too fast for Katakuri's predicting.
Right.
With the Operation Hockey.
I think it was like a combination of the speed, as well as like even Luffy didn't necessarily know where they were going to go before it went to its target. So there's no way he can predict what Luffy wants to do when Luffy doesn't necessarily know what direction those arms are going to spring to before beating the shit out of him. So it was once again Luffy, that moment of genius and greatness he has in the middle of getting his ass whooped. That's just like the key to like 99% of his victories.
Yeah, and it was interesting because we also saw like just a whole other like form of control with Luffy, where he's got like he can manipulate and everything with his arms and make them go different directions and where he wants them to go. And it's really interesting because usually you think just momentum, like punch forward or something like that, or punch back, or but no, he can actually like, I guess, use the momentum from his hits to zigzag and go wherever he wants it to go. So it was a really, really interesting thing, and a pretty neat form for him to pull out during this fight. And just this fight in general, I think it was, we had Doflamingo and everything, but then you have this guy that has abilities almost like mirroring Luffy's. That it was just really kind of cool to see how he would handle that kind of thing. And also, pretty cool. And something else that someone pointed out at one point was, I think every devil fruit, it's interesting, right? Because Kaido is known for having Zoans on his side, whereas Big Mom has Paramecias on her side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like pretty much everyone on her crew, I believe, has Paramecia abilities.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah. So we get the ending of this battle with Luffy being the winner, of course, as Luffy do.
Oh, sorry. And just kind of thought about that. How like even though it's not all like just the Emperors, but like you said, like each of them kind of have their set, and the Marines are a Logia type.
Yeah.
Logia, so they kind of got the market cornered for them. Oh, I never thought about that. That's real interesting.
And something that we didn't mention, I don't think we did anyway, is that Sengoku had the Buddha Zoan fruit.
Yes.
yeah,
he busted that out during the war, and I'm kicking myself completely forgetting about that. But that was
there
there
was
was a lot going on.
lot to go on. But a
Yeah.
giant afroed, long goateed,
Yeah.
giant Buddha showing up in the middle of that
Right.
war was definitely a major.
Fully gold too.
Fully
Yeah.
gold Buddha, which is again, and the fact that it's a Zoan type, that gods,
Mhm.
the gods are a Zoan type, which
Yeah.
is usually associated with animal. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always
because
struck me as funny.
him and Chopper, I think, are the only two that have a human fruit.
Right.
Yeah, and his is basically what the mythical version of the human fruit.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
Like much like Marco's is also a mythical
Right.
zone as
Yep.
well.
Right.
Yeah.
So, oh man, we get this alliance with the Straw Hats. They basically were using Brule to do a bunch of shenanigans. We get to this wedding, and it's just, of course, this massive fucking cake.
Right.
We have a lot of interesting people that are here. To note, we've always seen the newspapers and everything throughout. You know, they bring us any kind of news on that what's happening in the world and stuff like that. And we actually get some of the big players for the news world, and their names are absolutely escaping me right now. But one of them, because the news is delivered by News Coos, the big head honcho is actually a bird. I'm assuming he's like a bird mink man.
Yeah.
Big News Morgan.
Yeah. And I forgot that they even had a what was it? A scene with him, like defending his people. Yeah, Morgan's. It's just a big bird, dude. It's pretty great. But essentially, all these people are here to cover this story between the wedding between these two big powers in the world. We get to a point where things are about to go down. Sanji essentially uses his charm to not die at the altar. And then when the Germa figure out that they are being targeted, they try to fight back. I think at that point, Sanji had found out about it, and he had been planning as well. Because didn't he have their suits with him? I can't remember exactly how that played out.
I think so.
But anyway, he basically armed them because they were all outnumbered and was like, hey, we need to fight or whatever and escape out of here. And as all this commotion was happening, they ended up destroying the fucking cake. And Big Mom was not happy about that at all. Because this was supposed to be this amazing cake that was made over several days from different islands, and it was the best ingredients were used.
Yep.
If I remember right, that wasn't it revealed because birthday cake is especially or this specific type of cake. I think had a connection to her past, like her mother's recipe, or that birthday cake was what made her go berserk in the past or something. She had a deep connection to this very specific cake that was going to be for this wedding, and she is fucking pissed.
Right.
Yep.
And so then from there, it kind of turns into this it feels like it's the better part of the arc. The second half of the arc is them escaping Big Mom's rage and trying to survive while all of her people are coming after them. And then you have because she's just basically I guess hunger drunk.
Yeah.
Or rage drunk, and
right.
she's just
she's just the epitome of hangry right now.
Yes. Yes.
Personified in a monstrous, overgrown child woman form. And
yeah.
I was just gonna throw it out there this. This arc had a lot, again, kind of like we just followed up from Dressrosa with that little break in Zoe. Mm-hmm. It's another huge arc with a lot of reveals, a lot of world building, and some good fights, maybe a little drawn out for my taste.
Yeah.
But this fucking chase sequence was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the hell out of this one.
Yeah, I mean, because we find out she has like three personal like souls that she has around her. She has the sword in her hat. She's got the cloud and the sun,
Yeah.
and she's flying around on kind of like Goku on the flying cloud, swinging this
And this-
flaming sword at them. And just as she gets hungrier and hungrier, she's losing weight, and she gets like more gaunt and like
Yeah.
disgusting looking and just like creepy and just ugh.
And what I liked
hate
about
it.
it, what I liked about it too was like for a second there you kind of feel like, oh, even though Luffy is like just pretty much spent after his fight, but you know, you're like, oh, is this going to be the clash with Big Mom? They're like, no, we can't fucking handle
Right.
her. Even at
No.
this point, they're like, fuck,
No
no,
way.
we're going. Fuck this shit. We can even now, still at this point, they're like, no, we're not Emperor ready.
No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, yeah. So far, she's the only like big bad of an arc that he hasn't beaten yet.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just this tremendous, like, she is essentially a force of freaking nature.
Yeah.
Like they have an entire like warning of each of the islands, like, hey, Big Mom's on a rampage, we need to take shelter, you know,
Yeah.
type of deal. During all of this, it kind of turns into that thing of like, you know, where we have Charlotte Pudding, where she's going back and forth on if she wants to be a good person or a bad person, and Sanji ends up taking her with him, and he decides like, oh, I'm gonna make this cake for her and everything. And meanwhile, all of Big Mom's crew is trying to direct her after the pirate or the Straw Hats,
Right.
and you know, wreck them, while also having other people go after the Straw Hats. At one point, it's kind of great, and I loved that this happened, that Nami is using her advanced climb attack whenever, I think it's the cloud goes to attack her, and she starts feeding it like clouds from the
Yeah.
climb attack, and it ends up really liking it, so it joins her side, and I think starts to live in her climb attack from that point.
Yeah.
Um,
Like she
But
got
it's-
it to change turn sides through food,
Yeah.
ironically enough. You know, like the
Yeah.
whole theme going on. Yeah, it was, I love
Mhm.
the shit out of that for some reason. Just the whole
was-
idea that she
it was-
turned like her weather power. You know, because Nami, we know she's not one of the top fighters, but she's always been very intelligent. And even though she didn't necessarily know that's what was going to happen, it just turned out brilliant with her technique of weather manipulation. Happened to really help them out. It's really, I like that a lot.
Yeah, it was dope. I really liked that we got that from that. Through a lot of it, you actually have Beige's Iron Fortress form, like trying to fend her off, and it's like, no, you're not gonna be able to do that. And I think at some point, even Katakuri busted in and like messed them up a lot. So you also have what did you call? What were they? They're pirates. The fortress, Iron Fortress.
Fire tank.
Fire tank.
Yes, the fire tank pirates. They're also trying to escape and get the fuck out of this island as well. You also get Jinbei, who kind of puts himself in between the Straw Hats and Lin Lin. Like he's, you know, realized that they're there, and he's trying to help them as well. And you get some really great, like, interesting, like one-offs from this. And one of the better ones, I think, was whenever they're trying to escape, you know, you have people like that are constantly in their way. Well, you know, Carrot, that's kind of been like freaking out and sort of like going back and forth between running and like fighting and stuff this whole time, you know, reveals that she, you know, might have a way out of this blockade that they have in front of them. And it turns out that for minks, whenever there's a full moon, they awaken this extra power called a Sulong form. And Carrot, like, her physical appearance changes. Her hair grows longer. She gets faster, stronger, sharper claws. And she jumps on the ship and essentially annihilates it and everyone on it.
Oh yeah.
I love Carrot so much.
Basically, every mink is a werewolf.
Right.
Basically, and that was again just solidified. It's like, oh my god, she's not only she's been, a fun character, like you said, ditzy, silly, blended well in the crew. Then she just became a badass,
Mhm.
and it's like, yep, love me some Carrot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It was a really really cool moment for her. We also unfortunately get another moment in this where we have Pedro that's been with us, and he's been kind of sneaking around and trying to um, you know have everybody like keep everyone alive and well and find out all the information that he can. He ends up encountering one of the sons, Perospero and Katakuri, and during this whole thing, Pedro ends up sacrificing himself to save some of the crew, and has a bomb on him and ends up blowing himself up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because in his efforts, to take Prospero out, Prospero still survives, but Pedro ends up not.
I know.
But it just kind of becomes like this, sort of thing of false hope. And we sort of leave the arc on Jinbei standing in the way of the Big Mom pirates. I think at some point Sanji had finally finished the cake. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that cake, something happened to that second cake, and I'm forgetting off the top of my head.
Didn't Big Mom eat it and love it?
Like I want to say,
Did
like
she?
it almost got messed up, like it was missing an ingredient or something. Like it was very
Yeah.
like down to the wire to get the
Yeah.
cake to her and calm her ass down. But
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
just barely managed to do it.
Okay,
Right.
so whenever she finally eats the cake and regains like her sanity and everything, she goes back after the Straw Hats, and that's when Jinbei essentially stands in the way. So it's like this arc also robbed us yet again of Jinbei joining the Straw Hat crew,
Uh-huh.
and at this point, I'm just basically like, okay, we're never gonna get Jinbei
Nope.
and the Straw
Never.
Hats. He definitely died there.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
So yeah, it was just kind of this moment of like, they lost Pedro, they got Sanji back, and they had to leave Jinbei behind because they weren't able to get away, and he ended up using his ocean kung fu to whisk them away. And Luffy pretty much told him to meet them on Wano, like because he's part of the crew.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so there was a lot that happened in this arc, right?
It was a ton.
Yeah.
I mean, we glossed over a lot of it just because, we hit the important notes. I feel, but
Yeah.
little
Right,
things
yeah.
from this, how big the Big Mom family is, all her kids. We didn't really get
She's like-
into. What was that?
She has just like 40 some odd children or something like that.
Like one of the standouts, I like being an artist myself. I can't remember the character's name, but she basically like turned the Straw Hats that were staying on the ship, which I think was like Chopper and Nami, and wasn't what's the little kid from Wano? I think he was.
Momonosuke?
I think was
Momosuke.
was he with them?
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Oh,
Was he?
I don't know now, actually.
But
Crap.
I think he was
I think-
because the part I remember with this one, her ability was to basically change them into like abstract paintings.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They had that whole little thing. Like I
On-
said, we had all these little
On
other.
Dressrosa.
Was that Dressrosa? I thought that was
Yeah.
cake.
No,
Yeah.
that was just,
Fuck's sake!
Yep.
See, this is what I'm saying. Like, there's so much.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah, yeah.
we did address that in Dressrosa. I'm addressing it now as an artist. I like the abstract war thing. See, like
Oh yeah.
like we love One Piece. Obviously, we've been talking about it now for 27 years on this podcast. I'm not talking about just being fans.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's so much. But in Big Mom, they had so many other like little, all her children being. It was very cool. But like after Dressrosa being so long, I wasn't super excited during this another super long arc.
Yeah,
Mhm.
same.
But as always, the highs are some of the best high moments in all of anime and manga. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, for sure.
even if it drags out, when One Piece when it hits those oh shit moments, it's some of the most memorable moments.
Oh yeah, I mean, just the fact that it's the Sanji family, Super Sentai, or Snake Man are like two of the coolest things
Yeah.
to come out of that entire arc.
Now, admittedly, now I have to ask y'all if have you been steadily watching the anime through this?
I have not lately.
No,
No.
no, I fell off so long ago.
Because
I've been itching to get back into it because I heard with the Wano arc that it like really picked up again.
right, because
But
it's been
I haven't. Yeah.
I was just gonna say is yeah, because I've been reading more than watching, and especially through this arc, because the pacing of
Yeah.
the anime, for whatever reason, they've been dragging it out. Anyone listening who watches the anime, you know what I'm talking about. Of like
Hmm.
you got 22 minutes of a show and 15 minutes of it is like recap, opening, ending. But I damn near want to say they gave in the anime because they'll do this sometimes. They'll have a special thing that's not in the manga. I want to look it up because I want to say I heard that the Vin Smoke family got like a Super Sentai style opening. Or like
Mm.
they did a
Oh,
special thing. I could be wrong, but I swear I remember
like
hearing
Soga
that.
King.
Yeah, like how he had his own thing. Like I want to say they did something for the Vin Smoke family.
Oh, that'd be
Man, I
perfect.
hope I'm not lying, but I might be. I have to look it up.
Guess we need to go rewatch that whole arc
Yeah, the whole
now.
arc, or just YouTube Vin Smoke family. Maybe it'll have something, but because it was a complete tribute to the Super Sentai. For those who don't know, we're talking about the Power Rangers style shows
Right.
out
Hmm.
there, and that was
Mhm.
huge. Sanji's full down backstory, which outside of when we're gonna finally get closure on what all Luffy's family is doing, like I feel like I mean, this is the first, if not probably the only other Straw Hat would probably have to get like a secondary origin.
Yes.
Maybe the only other one I can think of is Zoro because he got like a 2-page backstory, really.
Right. That and I mean, I mean, we can always get something for more of them, but like out of all of them, like I just like again, I never saw this coming from Sanji, so who knows really? But
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And, just one other thing that we gained from that, because people have been saying for a long time that all these other characters have been getting kind of upgrades to their equipment and their gear and stuff like that, or like abilities. And Sanji hadn't really changed a whole lot, other than some of the stuff
No.
that he can do. So he ended up getting one of the raid suits
yeah,
from
Yep.
the Vin Smokes. So I don't know. I can't remember if they specifically made it for him or if it was just like one that they.
No, I think they did because he was the Vince Smoke Black, whatever.
Yeah.
Like his was made for him.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yes.
I think
So now that's out
yeah, cause I think like they weren't worried about. They always wanted him back, obviously, because the family thing. But like, I kind of want to say they kind of implied like once they saw his bounty, they're like, oh, he's made something of himself.
there.
So they had a
Mhm.
suit, and we're gonna make him join us again. Like it was always gonna be
Right.
forced against his will. But like, hey, even a failure can go kill somebody. Obviously, you set your leg on fire willingly. There's you got something.
Right. Yeah. So it was a very wild, interesting, very I don't know. It was a really cool arc, right?
It's cool. Like
Um,
again, it's like I do feel some parts of it definitely dragged, but the overall scope of what we learned and what we've seen and like the ideas were definitely it was another huge arc and yeah, but still open up the world even more and really is setting us up for what's going on currently.
mhm. Yeah. Speaking of the world currently,
Right.
the next snippet arc that they did after this, which, you know, it's like, oh, come on, you could give me like 200 chapters of something, and then this is only going to be like 10 or something like that. I can't. It was way too short.
For what they're addressing, yeah, because it was. But yeah, go ahead and get into it. Then we'll talk about that a little bit.
So, you know, we found out with all of our introductions to the different kingdoms of the world and the world government and everything, especially whenever we were on Fishman Island and we found out, you know, about the queen and everything. Was it Queen Orihime?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And they essentially were supposed to be joining the world government as an official, you know, presence and everything.
Right.
And that's kind of like the thing. All the kingdoms make up the world government. I mean, you have the Celestial Dragons; they're on a whole nother level. But this Reverie event happens every 4 years, I believe, is what it is. And it's like this really, you know, kind of serious, world-changing event that happens, and just wild and crazy things have changed in the history of the world. You know, like the military being added, and like, you know, who they're deciding if they're gonna like outlaw or something like that. But it's kind of cool because you get reintroduced to a lot of characters that you haven't seen in a long time. You know, like Cobra and Vivi from Alabasta. You get reintroduced to Dalton from Chopper's Island that I'm forgetting all of a sudden.
Oh Lord! Now you said it. Now I can't remember.
Drum
Island. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. So yeah, you run into Dalton and Dr. Kuriha, and then you know you get to see Vivi and Igaram and Chaka and Pell, who didn't die, but we've gotten over it at this point. Wapol's there, which, you know, it's funny because we hadn't seen Wapol except for in cover stories, so, you know, we were kind of left to just ponder about how that ended. Right. But we also saw Steri, who was what was it? Sabo's replacement in his family.
Yes.
Which was really shitty.
Right.
We also have the Riku family from Dressrosa with the Tantata Princess Mancherry. So we've got Viola, Rebecca, Kyrios, and then King Riku himself. And yeah, so we have all these superpowers that are like at this Mary, probably saying it wrong, Mary Joas, right? Yeah. And they're here to make these big important decisions. But it just so happens that as this is going on, the revolutionaries have something, some underworld shit that they're doing here too, because we all of a sudden see Sabo and a few of the other folks from the Revolutionary Army, and they're like under the ground or something. I think one of them is using a devil fruit ability to get them through, or something of that nature.
Yeah.
But it's just really interesting. You know, these big discussions that they're having, and then all of a sudden, boom, you got the revolutionaries. And it's kind of cool. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the people from Fishman Island, Shirahoshi, Fukaboshi, and Ryuboshi, and Manboshi are all there as well. And it's kind of great because they make friends with Vivi and everything because of, you know, their involvement with Luffy.
Like, and they gotta keep it on the low too. I think, like, they mention them, and like one of them notices the other one kind of blush or react.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, are you the secret Luffy friend? I am. We're best friends now. It was that was really great.
Yeah. It was just such an interesting, and you know, you always kind of wonder, like, oh, what would happen if these characters ever met everything, and now you get to see it. But the thing that kind of like just is just kind of sad here is they just sort of end it with finding out that the revolutionaries are there, and we don't really, know of any event or anything that happened. I think there are hints at it. They also introduce. They're talking about the warlords and everything, and honestly, I think that they had done this prior to Zoe, maybe, but they introduced one of the warlords as being Whitebeard's son. The last one,
the self-proclaimed son of Whitebeard,
Right.
Weevil.
Yeah, Edward Weevil, who has a slight resemblance to Whitebeard, but
he got
a little bit, yeah.
He got a mustache, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now you're talking about warlords. What we got in the manga was a single panel addressing one of the newest warlords after the Battle of Marineford, the return of Buggy.
Yeah.
Now,
well, see, now they mentioned that back in Punk Hazard. We did go through it.
Okay,
Yeah.
they mentioned him, but then
Yeah.
I think even in the manga they kind of showed his new form. Like you get like a headshot of him, but in the anime,
giant drape or whatever.
yeah, but in the anime, you got a full-on sequence of him. He's now using his floating, the chop fruit, to make himself look ginormous underneath a giant sheet with his hands going out. He's got his hair is huge. He looks super tall, and in the anime, you actually got the whole sequence of him mad that the giants from Dressrosa, who joined Luffy's armada, were Buggies. They were part of Buggy's crew. So Luffy stole his fucking giants. and he's like, they're like, where are the giants? Like the reports are like, I think it was Mr. 3 or someone was telling him like, who's still rolling with him. Loyalty, man, loyalty. Candleman is loyal to the clown. Basically, like he's getting informed that the giants quit. They're joining Luffy's armada. He's like the fucking Straw Hats, like it's for a Buggy fan. And him, like they gave him a special little animation sequence instead of like I think it was just like maybe a single panel or a really small appearance in the manga as opposed to what they gave him in the anime. So they gave my boy some justice in the animation.
Yeah, because they pull out his wanted poster and they have all the wanted posters of the different ones that they're showing, and his animates and he says some shit.
Right.
Buggy always talking some shit.
Always.
But one of the big things that we know of that actually came of this was that they were actually abolishing the warlords.
Yeah.
Right.
The Shichibukai, which was kind of a big move. I mean, but after the events of everything that happened with Doflamingo, it's kind of one of these things of like first Crocodile is like secretly trying to take over this island and doing these dealings. And then they find out that Doflamingo is doing it on a much grander scale. And he's working with one of the emperors.
Right.
So, with all of that happening, they pretty much have to just shut it down, and abolish the warlords of the sea. And so now all these.
I was gonna say, and who was one of the ones pushing for that? Fujitora.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fujitora.
He's wanting to clean up the Marines a little bit.
Oh yeah, and it makes sense, especially after everything that happened on Punk Hazard, with
Akainu
Smoker.
Smoker, yeah.
Well, well, I mean, they had the guy there that was with the Doflamingo family that had infiltrated them as well, whose name.
But we get like I do remember us getting because like I don't remember when exactly it falls in, but it's roughly around this time of the meeting up, everything. Like you see a little bit of like Akainu arguing with Fujitora about what he's been doing, and he's like, "Well, you brought me in, and I said I'm gonna do things my way." Kind of like so you could tell like Fujitora came in as an admiral, but he has his own plans, and he wants to change the Marines, which Akainu is not liking. Because he's like, well, I'll cut off all your benefits. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to do what I do.
Right.
I control gravity, motherfucker. And we get a tease in this, too. Because I think it was like after he gets off the transponder snail, you see he's talking with someone who said he's been fasting for like 4 months or something like that. He's all silhouetted out, and we can only assume this is the other admiral.
Right.
who
Right,
we've
yeah.
discussed in the past about him potentially being, based off Yoshiro Mifune, but we can only speculate. We don't know. It just showed that, like, yeah, I want to eat meat because I haven't eaten in like 4 months. Like, how the fuck do you just do that? But
Seriously.
but we get that. So that's again more of this, like, this little more snippets of world building we got after all this other
Yeah, I
as
mean,
well.
this is one of the shortest arcs in the whole series. It's only 6 chapters in the manga, but it has so much world building and so much, stuff being, getting revealed. Like the whole. Have we ever talked about the five elders of it, where like
Didn't
they're
really
like
get into it. Yeah.
they're like the head of the Marines. They're these five old men that everyone answers to, and then you find out that they answer to one more person.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
It's a silhouetted person just called Eam, and it's just like and this thing has one of posters of Luffy, I think, one of Shirahoshi and something else, and for some reason walks over to this gigantic straw hat, like humongous
Right.
straw hat that is being held in the bottom in the depth of the castle that it lives in.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, just those damn mysteries. Like, well, okay,
Like,
what does it mean? Why can't we see him? Why didn't we see
Yeah.
the other admiral? And
Right.
yeah, I almost forgot. We also got this is where CP0 showed up, right?
We saw them briefly somewhere else, but yeah,
In
this is when we see that
Dressrosa.
in Dressrosa.
Yeah.
But this time we see that CP9 guys are part of it too. So Rob Lucci, Kaku, I think Spandam is part of it now.
Yeah, a few
But
of
like
them.
the-
Now it's
but-
Liverpool Zero, who are like the
Right, yeah.
even deeper secret agents for the government.
Right. Yeah, like in Dressrosa, we saw all the new characters for CP0.
Hmm. Yeah, and I had to go and find it online, but yeah, he does have a giant straw hat
Yeah, I forgot
Yep.
all about that.
in it, just in a vault.
Like,
For whatever
like why?
that means. Whatever that means. Like, there's
Out of all the things that sound ridiculous that we've talked about in the past like 12 hours of show, like the fact that like that sounds the most stupid. Like if you told me when I started that 900 chapters later that there'd be a person sized straw hat sitting in a basement somewhere, then no, that's stupid.
like, yeah, that's we're gonna find out that the one piece is that straw hat on Luffy's head completes that one giant straw hat.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck me.
It's so brilliant. It's like in the Venom comics right now, like Luffy's straw hat is just a part of Null. He's like the Venom symbiote, and once
Right.
it's complete, it's just a huge being. The straw hats came from another universe to take over ours. And
Yeah, the
we're
straw
all
hats
doing
are just aliens.
But yeah, I mean that's everything up to Wano. Like,
Yeah. Now, like, we've been discussing about it because we knew we were eventually getting here,
mhm.
and I'm proud to say we finally made it, boys.
Yeah.
We don't want to get too deep into Wano now because
Mhm.
it is still going. It's been a 3-part arc,
Right.
so here's something to look forward to in 15 years when this arc wraps up.
Mhm.
That we are gonna. I think we're gonna start doing this as at the end of every major arc. I think we're gonna start dropping an episode. If
Yeah.
Yeah.
and hopefully, Mike, you will happily come and join us again during those times.
We're all
But,
going to
absolutely.
be old men in retiring homes by the time Wano ends, but I'm
Right.
down for it.
Yeah.
I'm glad to finally get out of this dusty old cabin on this mountain that Sean has secluded us in.
So, but we can give little snippets. So, because like I said, a lot's going on in Wano that we're not going to get
Mhm.
into
Oh my
right
God,
now.
yeah.
But like, because even the anime watchers are pretty deep in it too. It's been going on now for a while. Just real quick, what's some quick little like snippets you've been enjoying about Wano?
I mean, the only thing that matters is they have a Tengu in it, and it's one of the first characters we see when the Straw
Yeah.
Hats arrive. So,
The Tengu, excuse me, sir, the Tengu is only secondary to the fact that there's a Kappa who's a fucking samurai. Okay.
I love that it's old world Japan, just through and through. Like the imagery everywhere is just like it reeks of that. It like the first time that we see the other half the crew that they went there first, and they're all in their traditional Japanese garb and their the positions that they all have is great.
Right, and we'll get into that like when we actually really break it down. But the fact that everyone's rocking like you said, like the kimonos or the attire for what they're set for, and everyone, regardless of hair length, magically has a top knot.
Yep.
Love
Kinemon can do wonderful things with his ability, sir.
It's true. It's true. And I know something, Jerry, you're especially a big fan of a particular piece of Japanese art. I love that every wave and every splash of water that hits Wano is basically the giant wave art. Every time.
It's so great. And I also really love how they just threw in different characters in different roles. Like Sanji is like a typical like carpenter, and he has like the headband and everything. And then Sanji has a I think it's like an Odin or a ramen shack or whatever.
Yeah.
Or soba. He's selling soba because they call him
soba. Yep.
And
so he's got a little soba cart, and he's got like the apron and everything on, and it's just really great. I think, of course, they bring Robin into like the whole geisha. Thing.
One thing I really liked too was like we see it a little bit in Kinemon and a few and a little bit in Kanjuro, but I don't think quite as deep. But like you'll see in just especially a lot of the background characters, although some main characters too, where it's still Oda's style, but he designed the characters to look a lot like traditional Japanese like old paintings of people. The very stylized, very elongated faces with the very like high slanted eye and stuff like me describing won't do it justice, but I love that aspect that he's literally taken an island that is feudal Japan and drawn it as feudal Japan as he can get. Like I said, we'll get deeper into it, but it's a true love letter to Japan.
Yeah, and we also forgot that Usopp was a frog oil salesman.
Because of course,
which is perfect for him. It's perfect for the liar.
Right, and that's really like like I said, we'll get into that in the Wano episode of like how like everyone had like very fitting jobs and they all get their aliases, which are just fucking perfect. But well, gentlemen, wow, we came in under 2 hours. Is there anything else? We're at 1 hour and 30. Might be the shortest episode, but is there anything else like top of y'all's heads? Anything you don't think we covered? Anything you want to throw out there for what we've just basically talked about? 900 episodes roughly, because I think like Wano's been about 100 into to hit that 1,000 or so. But 900 episodes, man. But I mean, there's so much. Go ahead. Jay.
I mean, no, I was just like, it's just so much to take in, and it's so many emotions and so many things that you just learn in this series, and not just the series itself. Like I feel like it's going to sound really corny, but I feel like the series has definitely made me like kind of grow as a person, like just. Right. Reading it and getting into it and experiencing it and sharing it with friends and everything like that. And it's just such a phenomenon and a fascinating thing in general. Like I just really dig that about it. It's one of those really big things that it's hard to find people that are into it and caught up in it nowadays, because it's so lengthy and it just kind of like throws people off a lot. So whenever you do find somebody, though, you kind of have this like understanding of, oh yeah, you lived through this as well. It's pretty astounding. It's an accomplishment.
Absolutely. Like this is the show I talk to people about who think like anime is all just Naruto and Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
They're like, I mean, I like anime. I've seen like, I like the fights are cool, but there's not much story to it. It's all just screaming and pretty flashy lights and stuff. And I'm like, well, have you looked at One Piece? And the general reaction is, well, it's too long. I don't want to get into it. I'm like, all you can do is shake your head at that point. because I've run into a few people who got deep into One Piece, like say up to maybe Skypiea or even Water 7, and then maybe fell off. And if you got that far and you didn't do it, I think there's something wrong with you. But really, I respect that. Like, okay, you gave it a solid effort.
Oh, absolutely.
But
yeah.
there's far more people who, once you get into One Piece, are like the biggest fans. Like One Piece either completely puts you off, or you'll be a fan for the rest of your life. You want to buy all the toys, you want to buy the cosplays. Our buddy Nathan out there, he been loving his journey of just experiencing stuff for the first time. You know what I mean? Of just discovering things about One Piece, even though some things have already been spoiled for the man, but it hasn't slowed him down in the least. And I think like One Piece is as big as it is in Japan, and sadly not around as much here in the West, but like it's deservedly so. It breaks the mold of what people typically think of a shonen, even specifically anime, because the love. I mean, you got all kind of shonen manga and anime out there that have variety of depth, or a big world, or a character study. Very rarely do we have them at this level where it's all in one with this show. Like in this story, it covers everything from the human side to the world building to the fighting to to love, loss, and life. You know what I mean? Like it's it is just that it's that long form, but that perfect story, and it's really hard to come by, especially in a genre like anime there's so much out there. And for one that's like, and you'll find those gems that are kind of like, not like you'd call Shonen Jump is about as like in mainstream anime and manga specifically is that mainstream. Everyone has read or is reading a shonen story typically in Japan. But
sure.
And you'll get and then you'll get those side ones that create the ones that aren't as big in a company like Shonen, who are out there that have great stories. And but you also have a little bit more like character free or creator freedom in those senses. And they have very intricate stories out there, but to have one in like this is the equivalent of like not that Marvel Comics hasn't made fantastic stories, but just making like you couldn't see one creator working for a company like Marvel and telling his story for 1,000 issues. That's what One Piece has achieved.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's amazing. What about you, Mike? You got some final thoughts as we wrap things up?
No, I mean, I think you guys really hit it on the head, and this is something that like it kind of came out of nowhere back in the late 90s, and it has been such a powerhouse through and through up until now, and that we probably won't get this again because like before this it was Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball was like the phenomenon of Shonen Jump, and when that ended, they thought, oh, what's going to be next? And then One Piece kind of took off, and it's just hard to imagine what a world without this show and series is going to be like. When it eventually wraps up in like 10, 15 years, because like
wraps up.
I know Oda's been saying that he's gonna end it, for years now, but like it's still going, and I can't imagine it ending anytime soon.
I'm waiting on the annual announcement of like, remember whenever I said I was halfway through? Well, I think now I am. Now
yeah.
Right. But like, and you talk about like it started like it picked up where once Dragon Ball ended. We had One Piece was starting up around the end of Dragon Ball. And then once One Piece had already started getting legs, then it had its two biggest competitors, Bleach and Naruto, start a little shortly after.
Right.
So we had the war of the big three, constantly like who's vying for the number one in Shonen. And except for 1 week throughout all of Bleach and Naruto and One Piece going head to head every week in the Shonen polls, except for 1 week where whatever reason, the issue of Naruto where him and Sasuke were running up the damn tree to see who could get the highest up early on, it topped. That was the only time One Piece had been dethroned.
I mean, have you read it? Have you read that chapter of Naruto?
It's a fine chapter.
Did it change your life, Sean?
And I don't know what. Go ahead.
I would love to know what chapter of One Piece it went up
Yeah.
against, because I would love to find out.
I need to look
was it
that
the
up.
Gaimon chapter or something? Or
Like it had to be. It had to been someone who just saw Adventures of Little Buggy and like nah and moved on or something.
no.
And up and through all that, through the war, Naruto ended, Bleach ended, One Piece kept going, and then one other book has done it. Had topped One Piece again, and that series is over too now.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all know what
Demon
book?
Slayer.
Yeah.
Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
Demon Slayer knocked One Piece for it may have been only 1 week. It may have been more. I don't remember exactly now. I got a YouTuber that really covers like the how the shonen rankings a lot, and Demon Slayer knocked One Piece down. But Demon Slayer was a 229 something or 209 issues of
Something like that, yeah.
of amazing shonen manga.
Well, I guess, when you think about it like that, that's probably why she quit. She was like, I only built this up to knock One Piece out of the number one slot, to keep Oda on his toes. And then she was like, I'm done. I'm ending this now.
But and not to just like I'm sure we've talked on the regular podcast how much we love Demon Slayer, and I'm taking nothing away from that book. But I want to say though, like in the video I saw talking about it, the issue that topped One Piece was the same issue that came out around episode 19 of Demon Slayer's anime, which was the water like the big like eye-gasming battle in that anime,
Okay.
where the hype, so everyone went out and bought the damn issues, voted for like that's really sucked in and not taking anything away. Hey, it worked.
Right. Yeah.
But like but once again, even though One Piece got knocked down, but Demon Slayer is over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So One Piece reigns supreme. Fuck y'all Naruto people out there who still want to clean. Like, okay, like this, I'm not gonna get into this rant now about how Western audiences really love hanging on to your one anime that ended and not moving on with your life. Naruto and Dragon Ball Z fans, but One Piece is forever. One Piece is life. Let us beat you down out of your anime and become part of our crew, as we do.
Hey, who do you think would win between Naruto and Goku?
Batman when he has time to prep.
God damn it!
God, Goku and Batman. Everyone can be all right. We hope y'all enjoyed. This is now episode 6. We've averaged about 2 hours, so 12 hours of us talking.
What are you talking about? It's all been one large episode.
One large episode. Yeah. Like this has been the longest arc of Yokai Delinquents ever.
So we haven't been recording these week after week, you guys. We just cut them.
Yeah.
We cut one long episode down. So it's
You're not supposed to tell them that. Now I'm going to get like the Humane Society against me for abuse and common workplace laws and other big words I can't think of now because it's late as hell where we're recording this. But I'm going to do the outro. Go ahead, Mike.
And then behind the scenes, we've already started recording our our 12-hour long episode of Bleach, the whole wrap up of that. So look forward to that next week.
You know what? Maybe we're getting the final season animated. Maybe.
Oh man.
Maybe when that's over, we'll think about it. I haven't watched Bleach in fucking forever, but hey,
could you end the damn episode, please?
Thank y'all for tuning in. Check us out for the next episode when we wrap up the Wano arc. Check out the Yokai Delinquents. Mike DeVecchio, you are the best. Thank you so much for joining us throughout all this, and we look forward to having you on again.
Yeah, I say it every time I'm on, but thank you so much for having me on. This has been such a blast. I just love being able to gush about the best series coming out right now for hours and hours.
Oh yeah,
for sure. But that's gonna do it for today. We'll catch y'all later.
Peace.
Later.